Are you a planner, thinker, doer, or somewhere in between? Over the last few years, I've been trained as a planner and a thinker. And because of that, I feel like that's really impacted me in my personal life. But when it comes to my life goals, it's something that just wasn't working for me anymore. So for the past 20 days, I have committed myself to not doing planning and thinking and just jumping into productivity. I've learned a lot and there's a lot I want to share with you. So stay to the end because I want to share how specifically this experiment of posting daily on YouTube has impacted me and what that can mean when you apply it to your life as well. Okay, so I want to start off with a very brief story about me, just so you can understand my background and where I'm coming from. I have always been a doer, an action taker, somebody who just loves to kind of fly by the seat of her pants. When I got into the entertainment industry, I saw a need to be a little bit more thoughtful. The stakes are higher there with the projects, so I wanted to be more thoughtful and a little bit more of a planner. Since I started building those skills, people saw that as valuable. So I started getting offered jobs a lot more on the logistics side, a lot more in the producing lane, the assistant directing lane, where you plan ahead and really manage the productions. And I loved it. I really enjoyed it. But like I said, I started to see how that was impacting me in my personal life and my personal goals. I was starting to move slower and take action slower than I'd like. So for these past 20 days, I committed to myself to take out the planning, to take out the thinking, and just go straight into productivity. Posting every single day on YouTube for the past 20 days. Today is day 20. And this has been a very interesting experiment for me. It's not about thinking and planning or completely taking action. Obviously, you want a balance of the two. So figuring out that balance, I thought, was really key to my improvement. So the first question I thought about is, when should you think and when should you do? And I think that's really based on a few factors. So the first factor is, how high are the stakes? Now, when I think of stakes, I'm thinking of financially, I'm thinking time-wise, life-wise, and emotionally. When things have financially high stakes, you want to be very thoughtful of it. Even in your individual life, if you are clearing out your 401k or you are putting your house up for collateral, those are huge financial stakes. So you're going to want to really think through, really be careful and thoughtful about your process and how you're moving forward. Now, in my situation, I'm doing YouTube videos. Those are free to post, luckily. So for me, there was not really financial high stakes. So this was something I could move quickly on and post and not be as thoughtful or as intentional about. My financial stakes were low enough that I felt like I could take that risk. Some other stakes to consider are your life or time. Now, for me, this takes time, posting every single day. And I also, need to edit the video after, do the title, do the thumbnail, those things that I'm not really great at. And so for me, it does take time. It is time consuming. The more time it takes, the more you want to be thoughtful about it. Besides time, it's also about your life and how you want to live your life. If this is something I don't enjoy doing, then I am sacrificing huge amounts of my life for this. So then I really want to make sure it's successful. Now, for me personally, I like posting on YouTube. I like looking for content that can be helpful to other people. So for me, it is not a sacrifice of my life. The stakes aren't super high in that sense because I'm getting so much value from it. So if I get nothing in return, I'm totally fine with that as well. And last, when we're talking about stakes, this is so important because this is something that some people, don't really think about until they're in the process. The emotional stakes can be very high, especially when you're putting yourself out there like I am. I'm doing this every day. I'm doing this with minimal thought process and planning, like I said, because that was my experiment to myself. And so it is vulnerable. And it is hard not to take it a little bit personal, but that's just part of the nature of it. And I could take it as an emotional thing. I could take it as my ego getting hit, or I could try to think of it logically. Like, well, what's going on? Is it getting clicked on? If it's not getting clicked on, is it a title or a thumbnail issue? But I think it's important when you go into challenges to think about how high stakes your emotions or your ego are going to be. The emotions and the ego will be higher. It'll be higher stakes versus if you're doing something like if I was recording these videos, but just keeping them to myself, very low emotional stakes. So the way around this that I have found is approaching my YouTube videos very much the way Oprah Winfrey approaches her projects. I remember reading in a book where she said that she had done a movie project and she was so passionate about it. So she was completely heartbroken when it wasn't successful. But then she thought, okay, this is not up to me. Whenever I create a project, it is my offering to the world. That is my part, that's my responsibility, to make it the best it can be and put the offering out to the world. The way it is received is not up to me. Another thing you'll want to consider when thinking about how much time and planning you give to a project is if it is a two-way door or a one-way door. Now, this comes from Jeff Bezos. He talked about two-way doors being those decisions where if you make it and you decide it's the wrong choice, you can just come right back in. One-way doors are those that are much harder, much more difficult, that if you make the wrong decision, it's going to be very challenging to get back. Posting these videos on YouTube, I see as a two-way door because tomorrow I get another chance. But quitting a big competitive job, I see that more like a one-way door. The last thing I want to share is that not all thinking is of the same quality. So it's not only about how much time you are spending thinking and in your head, but also what are you thinking about when you are? If I have 1 hour today sitting down and thinking through the process of a video, thinking about what I want to discuss and what could be beneficial to you, is of much higher value to me than spending an hour complaining or looking on YouTube of other people that have more subscribers or more views than me and just feeling bad about it. The worrying is not really beneficial to me. The thinking and processing is. I know Jim Rohn said, don't wish it were easier, wish you were better. And that's something I always come back to. If I'm thinking of things external to me that I have no control over, I try to check myself. Like, no, you're not going to change the situation. How do I get better? So then I want to make sure my questions are very specific. Right now I'm thinking, how do I get better at thumbnails? There is a whole lane that I could go down for a while. And once I get better at that, then I'll probably ask, how do I get better at titles, right? It's like taking one thing at a time to improve on. In our group, the CRAYON Playbook membership, we do short sprints and experiments in order to improve on ourselves every single month. Through these experiments, I learn a lot about myself and I grow and develop. And the conclusion that I've come to for myself that's worked is that I want to major in doing. Like if you're in college, right? You have a major and a minor, or you could have a major and minor. I want to see myself as majoring in doing, majoring in action. Because these last 20 days, honestly, for 19 of them, the thinking and planning was so minimal. And although that was good because I was able to move quickly, I do think I would have benefited from having a little bit more thinking and planning in there. Not back to what I was before, but just a little bit more. I gave myself that breathing space and I made sure that I thought about things that were productive. Again, not the worrying or things that wouldn't help. Only things that were answering the questions I had. I want to spend 80% in action, 20% in thinking and planning. I think that's the right combination for me. And I'm curious what would work for you. How much thinking and planning versus action are you planning on taking? How are you going to keep your financial, time, and emotional stakes low enough so that way you can take some quick action? How are you going to know if your action is a two-way door or a one-way door? And finally, what can you do for yourself to make sure that your time thinking is spent thinking on the right things? This is part of my challenge to myself to post 125 YouTube videos in 125 days. Today's day 20. Is this still the path that I want to move on moving forward, or do I want to pivot? Because I always give myself that freedom as well. I'm very good about keeping my commitments, but I always want to give myself the freedom to pivot because this is my life. And this is what I always say. This is your life as well. This is your life, so you want to make it what you want it to be. All right, so tomorrow I will have another video. And so let me know in the comments below if you have any questions for me or anything you want me to do a deep dive in. Let me know also if this was beneficial to you. And I will see you tomorrow for another video. See ya.